welcome. This is episode 24. We are learning to use your Max and you're watching 5-Minute Max, where every day you learn something new and exciting if you give 5 minutes of your time. That's all I ask. Go through these videos, little episodes, not exceeding 5 minutes, and you'll learn something new. That's a promise. In today's episode, we'll be finishing off standard primitives. So tomorrow we'll be extending towards extended primitives. So let's check out the very last one. So this is plain. Today's episode we'll be learning, which is recited under standard primitives, which is a subgroup of geometry, which is also a subgroup of the tab called create. So let's check what plain does. Click on that activated blue. It's the most simplest one, but I can assure this will show up every day in your 3D work, or it's integrated part of your 3D workflow. In another way I can say that. So you just drag once and you create a plane. Okay, so just stick with the one in this time. Now let's get rid of the crosshair and select the plane. Let's go on modify panel. This plane has 4 segments for length and 4 for width. You can see that already here, and it has a different type of setup under the parameter rollout, which is called render multipliers. So it can be multiplied in terms of scale when it's rendering. So to get the clear idea how these functions should be defined is when you press render, we haven't gone through rendering yet, but think of like when most of the work in the 3D world is done, you're about to like take a snapshot that what you have created, it's rendering, and that time you can define that like it will be scaled 10 times than the usual length, and density will be also changed. So, and it will render differently, although in your viewport it will show exactly like this plain old vanilla. So in future episodes when I'll be touching rendering and I'll be tutoring you that, I'll make sure to like come to this point and explain them practically. But for now, let's just stick to these basic parameters. Length and width, you can always like change them, length and width. Usually you don't need like segments of 4 many times if you're like just creating a regular plane, because you won't be generating any curves in them. If that's the case, then you should not have any length and width segment. But if you're just like going to like create curves, say like 28, like lots of like segments, and at one point you just like create, convert it to editable mesh. You'll learn how to do those. I'll teach you all. Just keep watching these episodes. Suppose on soft selection, it should be right there, soft selection, and let's activate it. Use soft selection and change it. Like if you have so many segments, you can like definitely poke a hole, which is much more realistic looking. Instead having just no segments, it just like gives you much more detailed finishing. But we'll be undoing all those so that we can have our plane back. So let's put them 1 for length and height segment. So that's how you use plane, and I can promise you that if you learn plane well, you'll be learning 3D Max well, because you'll be using plane a lot more than you use box, more than you use sphere. So congratulations, because you have already finished standard primitives, and we'll be learning to the next chapter from tomorrow. And pat yourself and say, yes, you did a good job, you stick to this, and keep learning, keep watching. See you guys next time.